Who is the most important person here? You are the most important person in your entire world. What would have happened in your life if you never existed? If you think of the impact that you have had on your world, it is really quite extraordinary. You are extremely important to yourself, but very important to many other people as well. How important you feel largely determines the quality of your life. How you feel you are as a person, as a parent, as a friend, as a teacher, in every part of your life largely determines the quality of your life in that area. People who feel that they are important and valuable are very, very different people than people who do not. Virtually all of our social, national, economic, all of our world problems come from people who don't consider themselves very valuable or significant. Psychologists call this your level of self-esteem, defined as how much you like yourself. The more you like yourself, the more you like others. The more you like others, the more they like you right back. People who have high self-esteem are more effective in their relationships. High self-esteem parents raise high self-esteem children, who then go on to grow up and meet high self-esteem children and then marry them to give you high self-esteem grandchildren. So how much you like yourself is the critical factor. When you really like yourself, you set big goals for yourself. When you really like yourself, you set high standards. When you really like yourself, you adhere to your values and refuse to compromise. When you really like yourself, you become a superior kind of person.
Hello, Mr. Magno. How are you doing today?
Oh, Miguel. How are you doing?
I'm doing very well.
Good, good. Well, you are doing very well. I'm really happy with your progress. Very good. You're doing very well. Yeah.
Okay.
So what are we against today?
We are against living a life you love and living it powerfully.
Living the life you love?
Yeah, and how to live it powerfully.
Yes, very important. When you love what you do, you'll never go broke.
Now, so many people are caught up in the trap of doing something that they don't really love, but they don't know how to get out of it.
Right. Why? You know why. The 4 substitutes that we've discussed before. They have to pay the rent, food, all of these things. So naturally they're afraid to quit or go look for something better because they need the money. Now, what I did, I thought it was a really a little dangerous, but it's the only way. I was teaching high school like you, and I had 4 children already. Yeah, 4 children. I was living up in Gloucester, Massachusetts, right by the sea. And all I wanted to do was perform and teach the guitar. I hadn't gotten involved into life coaching yet. And the school where I was teaching, I was in charge of 7 schools. starting bands. And it was snowing, and my shoes would get wet going from one school to another. And one of the principals complained that my shoes were dirty. He also complained that I sat on the desk. I used to sit on the desk and play for the kids and have them sing with me. It was really a lot of fun, a lot of love. But he complained, no, kids sit on the desk, and your shoes were dirty. So I said, oh, really? So I went to the music supervisor, told him the whole thing, and I said, look, this place is not for me. And he agreed with me. He was a very nice guy. Now what am I going to do? See? This is what takes a little courage. I started playing at the King's Rook coffee house there and getting students. And pretty soon I had a lot of students, and one thing led to another. And we moved back into Harvard Square, and I was pretty well known there for performing. So I changed the whole profession, and I ended up opening up a music studio. So it took a lot of guts to do that, because the kids had to go through a couple of months of, not too much.
Yeah, did you have a vision of that, or was it something that just kind of happened?
No, in those days I didn't have those visions. Now I do, but
yeah.
Those days I only knew that there was this business that we talk about all the time. There is an inner self. There is a universal beingness inside all of us. And if you have the guts to give up the false ego that we have adopted from this society we live in, and we have created that false ego also in order to fit, because nobody wants to be alone. Loneliness is a big problem. So I didn't want to be alone either, so I played the same games that everybody did. But I knew, and I read a lot, and because of my father also, that there is an inner self, which is the real true part of you. And that self holds the key to a purpose in life. So like Webster Edgerly says in the books on magnetism, it's not you finding the purpose of your life, it's allowing the purpose to find you. And once you find it, you got it made.
So there's this false ego. What is this false ego?
Well, false ego is not who you really are. It's false. It's, for example, someone is afraid to do these conversations of Magno because he might not know what to say, or it might injure his standing if he happens to be a teacher or a coach or something. So, you see, that's ego. It holds him back. Whereas if a person who allows his inner self to come out, he's not afraid of anything, because he knows everything is going to come out all right. He's not hurting anyone. He's not trying to take advantage of anyone.
Right. And I guess like knowing that everything is going to come out all right is like being able to attract those things naturally.
Absolutely.
Whereas if you were worried about it, you would actually create that as you become your own creator, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean as you learn mastership of yourself, it doesn't mean that you're not going to be sad sometimes. It doesn't mean that you're not going to have problems. We'll always have problems. All that a problem is just one force against another force. That's all it is. So those things happen in life, but we are able to deal with it because as a result, let me see how I can put this. As a result of the self-love that you develop through doing what you love to do in life, you import a great deal of self-love and respect for yourself, and automatically people pay attention to you because you're not trying to hide anything. Whereas most people know that they can't believe everybody because everybody's out there trying to take your money away. I mean, all advertisements, everything is. There's always a trick to it. Why can't they just be perfectly honest? So that's what does it.
So, how would someone begin to find their purpose or to do something they love? What step could you take? What can you tell them to take? Here's the first step.
Well, first, you have to notice that in fact there is an entity inside you which is not different from you. It is you, but it's on the inside. And that entity has all answers. And it's very hard to believe. Most people don't believe that.
Right. So there's something there of trust.
Yes.
And you have to believe in yourself that you actually have a higher power.
Yeah, but it's no big deal believing because you see it in operation. I'll give you an example. I told you about the book I'm writing. It's almost finished. I did it in like less than 2 weeks. There's only a few little descriptions to go.
Now, look, before you get into that, though, let me. So you wrote this book in 2 weeks. Now, did you have other things that you were doing? What made you stop doing your normal routine and just get right into this book?
Well, I did it that way. I did nothing else but.
So you made a decision to stop what you were doing and focus on this.
That's right.
Yeah.
You have to do that. And this is why I used to laugh when they tell me that these authors would go off to the middle of nowhere to be alone to write. I see why. You tune in, and it's only when you tune in to yourself, all this stuff starts coming out.
Right.
And it's a wonderful feeling. So I went to bed, and I'm getting all of these intuitions and these revelations. And I did the whole cover of the book like that in bed. And the statement on the bottom of the cover, it came to me word for word. And I was lying in bed and said, how am I going to remember this? How am I going to remember this? I didn't have a pencil next to my bed, which is not good. You should always have a pen next to your bed. And I almost forgot, but while I was in bed, I kept saying, no, I must not forget this. I must not forget. I got up, immediately came to the computer and wrote it down. And then I found out that I could use that on the cover on the bottom. And the statement was something to this effect. Knowing the meaning of tambor is not the same thing as knowing its rhythm. Something like that. I didn't think of it as word for word came to me. So you allow that purpose to come. If that person comes, and in those 9 conditions, the creativity in old age is number 9.
Right.
That's what it is. You have that purpose. You dedicate it to it. You love it.
And what I find that seems to interfere with that is any kind of doubt within your mind, I believe, will stop you in your tracks.
Yeah, I know what you mean. But this is not one of those seminars.
Well, no, I'm not saying that, but don't you have to have the confidence to be able to do something like that? Or, I mean, if you start doubting yourself, I don't think it would quite flow out of you, like you said.
There's a big difference between doubt and caution. I mean, you have to know what you're doing. And if you doubt, that means you're not even sure a little bit of yourself. If you're sure a little bit of yourself, there is no doubt. You say, well, I haven't discovered my life's purpose has not discovered me, but I know that it exists. You are sure of something. That's what's important. If a doubt comes up, you don't dwell on the doubt. You just look at it. Remember that from now on. Any negativity that you experience, don't fight it. Don't resist it. That's what the old man said when he said, resist not evil. So that's all it is. You don't resist it. You look at it straight in the face. And if your body is tense, you tell it to relax. For example, in course number 13 in the manual book, we will be doing these quite a few exercises on how to relax the body instantly, and all those things put together, they mean something. So again, we have this balance, the physical and the metaphysical. Always balance. The physical is monitored by the laws of the metaphysical, which you can't see. And that's why it's difficult for some people to believe, because they only believe what they feel with the five senses.
So getting back to living a life you love, what could you say that someone would do then? Did we define that first step?
Which was what?
What would be one first step that someone could take to doing something they love?
Well, one thing you can do is go back to your childhood and see yourself as a little boy or girl running around, and there was something you always liked to do. You didn't know why. In my case, I found an egg that fell from a nest, and I opened it up. It fell, it broke in my hands or something, and I saw this little thing beating in there, little heart. I didn't know. I thought it was a little motor. So I said, well, that must be what they mean when they talk about God. This little thing is beating in there. And then you wonder about these things. For example, I used to have these dreams of building a great big church. And I had nothing to do with religion, because my father was not a religious man. He was very spiritual. My mother was religious, but she didn't bother too much. So you go back to childhood, you look at the way you were, what you liked, what you didn't like, and then things start coming together. Yeah. And you go from one thing to another. And of course, you have to be practical also. You can't be a dreamer, because you have the thing that you do has to help others. Everything that you have of good, you have to give to others. But not necessarily giving for nothing, because there is a law of the universe that says you exchange one with another. So when you give this that you love to others, out of the fact that they enjoy what you give them, they give you money. And that's what it's all about. And that's why it makes me laugh in the government, how they go about straightening out the economy so this can be this and that can be that. My Squadio. Put that in every school. Train half a dozen teachers on how to teach that because they don't know. And you have a whole new society little by little. Because children love philosophy. Children are beautiful. And the only reason they take drugs and engage in crime and things like that is because they're not allowed to be who they truly are. Because a child that is born today is already more evolved than one that was born 6 months ago. Different evolvement. And they want to express themselves.
So you're saying go back to your childhood to see those things that you loved.
You can do.
Yeah.
That's one thing you can do. Sometimes at night, before you go to sleep, you can try to fall asleep with that question in mind. I do that a lot about everything I do. And if you fall asleep with that question in mind, sometimes you have lucid dreams and messages and all kinds of things that give you hints.
Now, lucid dreams, what do you mean by that?
Well, a real lucid dream, I've had lots of them. Beautiful. Oh. A lucid dream is when you are dreaming, but you know that you're dreaming because you're awake. You know that you're awake and you know that you're dreaming. The first time I experienced that was unbelievable. I actually found a piece of the furniture in front of me to focus on. I said, I'll just focus on the feet of the bureau, and every time I do that, I will remind myself that I'm really not sleeping. A little trick you play in your mind.
Right.
It's beautiful, beautiful. So there is something that being materialistic means that you don't pay attention to these things. You just work. You don't even work for today. You work all the time for the future.
Yeah.
Future.
There's got to be some time that you take out of your day to really just spend with yourself.
Yeah.
Or
If you-
there's no chance to actually discover what you really love actually to do, or
Right.
to come up with the solution, how to do this or that when you discover it.
I have heard guys like Dr. Wayne Dyer, Dr. Deepak
Deepak,
Chopra.
yeah,
I
Chopra,
think that's the name.
yeah,
Bohm, what's his first? David Bohm. He's great. Louis Hicks. Louis Hicks, isn't it?
no, Louis Hay. Hicks
Oh.
is
Louis Hay, yeah.
the other.
Wonderful, wonderful people. And they all say practically the same thing. They spend at least 2 hours every morning. And now that I can't leave the house too much because of my sight is very bad, you know the whole story behind it. I do that, and I love it. And it really creates effects, visible effects on others around you. Really something.
So that's got to be one major step right there, then, right?
Yep.
Finding time out of the day to spend with yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. But I will repeat it because it's very important. Once that your purpose in life finds you, oh, you're so lucky. You have everything. And everyone living has a purpose. And the purpose, we're all different. I'm a seed. You're a seed. A seed has a purpose. The seed of one kind grows a tree of that particular kind. So we all have some kind of a purpose.
And just like this tree, you have to give it time to grow. You can't expect it to happen overnight, correct?
That is correct.
Yeah.
If we were brought up the way we should be brought up, that is, we're born, we're welcomed into this world, and our parents are already awake. They're not blinded in a chain of causation. They're awake. They tell you these things since you're a little kid. And you grow with this. So it's like natural. You see? What was the original?
Well, we're talking about steps to living a life you love and following your true purpose.
Yes. If you brought up with this from the beginning, right after you're born, by the time you reach 21 years of age, you have your purpose automatically.
Now, once you find your purpose, is there anything that can throw you off course?
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Things throw you off course all the time. The mastery doesn't mean that. Mastery simply means that you can deal with everything and you do the best you can and you straighten them out.
Right. The master sees the problem, but he comes up with the solution in a very quick way, and it doesn't allow things to affect him in any great way.
That's right.
Yeah.
He understands. The state, being in a perpetual state of understanding, that means that you are not resisting anything. You are accepting everything. You're not fighting anything. And you're observing everything. And you're learning like a sponge, sucking in all knowledge. And that's very conducive to wisdom.
So I would definitely have to say then resistance is a big key in letting it go and not allowing it to over control you to the point where you become ineffective. You can't overcome any problems if you're resisting.
Right.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. There is you can't use willpower in this business that we're in. Of self-improvement, self-empowerment. This is what we are into. Path of hidden knowledge, all of this knowledge that we're learning. It doesn't mean that you're going to be using willpower. I'm not saying willpower is not good. It's good. But it's kind of a fighting power. Through understanding, you see it, and it happens if you want it to happen. It just comes to you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I noticed that staying in the conversation of this path of the hidden knowledge or even self-improvement allows one to be more connected to it. Whereas if you're not in a conversation with someone, it seems like it's almost easier to lose the perspective of it all,
That's correct.
So I think the more people you surround yourself that are like-minded individuals, I think it helps you to grow even faster, or at
Right.
least stay connected.
Right. But remember, you can't, if you connect with other people and you base that connection on a certain belief, that's where you go. You stay connected to the essence of what you see and understand. You connect it with another human being because you see, with your ability to see what is in the other human being, you see that, for example, you like trees and he likes grass, but you both love nature. That's what's important. You connect through that, not beliefs. A belief, when you say a belief, is I believe, you're not sure. Now faith, you know. You know. Your faith means that you know you can do it anytime you want.
So when you say belief, are you're talking about like believing in someone else's opinion, or you're and you're saying that you need to believe in yourself? In other words, you make your own choices, you make your own decisions. Ultimately, everything is within you, not someone else. Is this what you're saying?
Exactly.
Yeah.
You are a universe all by yourself. Complete different universe. There's no two of us that are equal to each other.
So
It's like,
yeah. So if we knew we were a creator, that we could create our world in any way we want, then we would truly live a life we love, right?
And then what?
If we knew we are our own creator, right? Then we would know that we could live a life that we love because we are the ones that are creating it.
That is correct. Now we have limitations still because our creativity is equal to the creativity of the universal beingness, which is here and fills all space in the universe, but not the quantity. We have that quality, but not the quantity. So we're not able to create, for example, a planet in the sky. We don't have that knowledge.
Right.
Once we have that knowledge, we can do it. But we can do many other things.
Right. And really where I'm coming from is creating a life that you truly love and you're living it to the way you want to live it, you know?
That's right. That's right. Yeah, each one creates his own life. And he has to create it not he has to take others into consideration also. I'm not saying that you have to be a slave to others, but you have to create effects that are not negative, or rather, as little as possible of creating effects that others experience heavily. So if you're talking to someone and you know that he's very sensitive about his height, you don't say, "Hi, shorty." That's an example of what I'm saying, because he has charge on that. Because he's very short. He may not have, but he could. So you have to consideration that this is the life that you are creating and you have created, but it doesn't mean to disregard your fellow man. On the other hand, you shouldn't even think twice about defending yourself if the other person is contributing towards your invalidating you, pushing you down. There's no need for that. On the other hand, the master is not bothered by what people say about him. Why should he be? If you have the inner self, you're being who the inner self is, you know what it is. Now, this is a glass. And you don't say it's glass, you say it's a dish to fry eggs in. Well, it's still a glass because I can use it, I can see it, you can see it. So, the other guy wants to continue thinking it's a dish to fry eggs in, that's his problem, not yours.
Right. So there's no attachment there. You're able to let anything go, and that's again letting go of resistance, like we talked about earlier, as one of the key elements, I guess, to living a life you love.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, did we leave anything out here, or is there something?
Loving is something you don't have to work at. All you have to work at is eliminating the negative, because the minute you eliminate the negative, the positive appears automatically.
Yeah, and I noticed you said before, I mean, I'm just saying this for the people that are listening, but you use the word charge. Can you just explain that to them a little as to what you meant by that?
Well, charge is, for example, some people have charge on some words, or you say something and they get upset, or usually charge goes back to childhood, something that took place and something was inculcated upon your mind that was uncomfortable. When you were a little boy, somebody said to you, "Gee, you pudgy little old fat kid," something like that.
Yeah.
Now, 40 years later, somebody not meaning anything bad, just kidding around, he says something similar to that, and you just fall apart.
Right. It triggers something, right?
Right. That's charge.
And it's a negative energy.
Right.
And so that's something we want to release as well, as just, and sometimes it's not even known to us unless we become aware of these things.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, when that happens, you don't use willpower, you don't use force of any kind to stop it. If you were with someone who said something like that to you, and the charge of that thing got you really excited and angry, you probably tell them, "No, don't tell me that stuff. Oh, why are you so callous?" The best thing is to just relax completely and observe the way you feel. You don't have to analyze anything. Just be there with it, and you'll see that it won't hurt at all.
You're able to let go of the resistance, in other words.
Yeah. Of course, there's an easy way, which is regression.
Right.
And I use that.
But that would be something that you do with someone else, not yourself, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Well, regression, you should have another person with you.
Yeah.
You can always go back in time using EFT But regressions is better to have somebody with you. There's very, very sad moments where you uncomfortable sadness, things like that, and it's better to have somebody with you to make it easier. And I've had 2 cases of extreme anger, and it was heavy. Even I didn't expect it so suddenly. And there's nothing you can do except be there. And just keep tapping. Just be there. Keep reminding the other person, I'm here. I'm here. So that's the story there.
Yep, that is the story. So is there anything that you want to leave with in regards to living your purpose and living a life you love?
Well, let's take a quick look at that living with purpose. There is one thing which is living your purpose in life. Now, living with purpose in general is slightly different, and that's important also. Usually people find their purpose in life quicker when their everyday lives, every moment has its own purpose. So a person that does things with purpose is the person who has intention in what he's doing. He has a purpose behind what he needs to do. There's an intention there. He's not just, oh, well, we got to do that, we're going to do that. No, it's there. There's a slight nervous tension in the nerves, not in the muscles. It's a slight nervous tension, and that's the difference between personal magnetism and no magnetism. Magnetism goes like this. Oh, well, we're going to, okay, well, let's do it, man. But the magnetic person will go, yeah, I've got to do that. And it's exactly time to do it now. So must do it now. Okay? We'll leave you with that.
Okay.
It's 40 minutes exactly.